Part three should be able to finish this one out pretty simple. What we're looking at again in this week of online, say we'll go along with chapter 6 in your book, which is bonding. Now, not the whole chapter 6 because we're only looking at ionic bonding this week, where you had to figure out the ions. They are transferring their electrons based on how many valence electrons they have. You got one, you're going to gain 7 to get to that octet rule, or lose 1, you're going to lose 1. You always pick the easiest one to do. If you lose 1, you're a positive charge. Remember, ionic crystals are always metals bonded with nonmetals. So it's always a plus cation bonded with a negative anion. As far as the individual properties that we were going over, the fact that they have high melting points, they're always crystalline solids. And this one here, as it starts going over, and it's in the videos too, ionic compounds dissolve when in water, when either melted or dissolved. They conduct an electric current. So the fact that they do have the positives and negatives, they have electrons, they will conduct an electric current. I don't need to get into that too much right now. Right now, the main things, as I said, to focus on ionic compounds are metals and nonmetals, which we looked at the periodic table to the right or to the left of that stair-step line. Cations and anions. Cations are always metals, and they always get rid of electrons. Anions always gain electrons. They're always nonmetals. And what you end up forming is called an empirical formula. When you do the crisscross, you have to be able to do that. So if I want to figure out a compound of sodium bonded with sulfur, I'd have to look at sodium as +1 charge, sulfur -2 charge, and then I would crisscross, and the formula would be Na2S. Remember, that's got to be able to figure out the formulas and go vice versa. If you know the formula, be able to separate it into its ions. The rest of this here, as far as once we know they're always going to be, here's some of the physical properties. They're always going to be crystal solids. They're going to dissolve when put in water, and they will conduct an electric current, and they will have high melting points. Those are kind of the main things that you have to know about it. It kind of goes over a little bit. The notes will go over your how they dissolve. You're not going to have to get into it too much, but again, this is chapter 6, the first or second section that's only dealing with ionic compounds. We will deal with covalent next week, and covalent will be nonmetals bonded with nonmetals, and since they both want to gain electrons, they can't transfer them, they have to share them. So that becomes the next one, a little bit more complex, but ionic compounds shouldn't be too bad. If you have any questions, feel free to email mark.boer@addisonschools.us. Don't forget to look at the PowerPoint that's online. I gave videos. Don't be afraid to look up just ionic compounds, writing formulas if you want to see somebody on YouTube doing them, or, like I said, ask me. Have a good week, and we will see you hopefully for the last week in week 6.